It was an ordinary Wednesday evening when my 16-year-old son, Keithan, decided to walk home from his friend's house, just a few blocks away. The sun was setting, and he had his earbuds in, enjoying the last bit of summer before school started. He didn't expect trouble, certainly not in our own neighborhood. But in our HOA-run community, trouble often comes in the form of nosy busybodies who take their roles way too seriously. As Ethan turned onto our street, two middle-aged men in polos and baseball caps stopped him. They had HOA security, stitched onto cheap vests and clipboards in their hands. One of them barked, "Where do you think you're going?" We don't allow loitering or suspicious activity around here." Ethan, startled, replied, "I live Haraim, just walking home." But the men weren't having it. They claimed he didn't look familiar and demanded his ID, when Ethan refused. Saying he wasn't legally required to hand it over to random neighbors, they escalated. To his shock, they pulled out zip ties and declared he was under arrest for trespassing. Before he could even process what was happening, they had tied his hands and were calling someone on a walkie-talkie about detaining a suspect. When a neighbor saw what was happening and called me immediately, within minutes, I drove up furious and terrified to see my own son sitting on the curb, restrained like a criminal. The so-called HOA cops puffed up their chests and told me they were performing a citizen's arrest. Unfortunately for them, they had no idea who they were dealing with. I wasn't just Ethan's mom, also happened to be a district attorney. I stepped out of the car, pulled out my badge, and introduced myself. The color drained from their faces instantly. "Let me make this very clear," I said, my voice steady but sharp. "You have unlawfully detained a minor, restrained him without cause, and falsely impersonated law enforcement. That's kidnapping." The two men stammered, insisting they were just following HOA protocols. I told them there was no such thing as an HOA police force and that they had just opened themselves up to a long list of criminal charges. With one phone call to the actual police department, the tables turned quickly. Real officers arrived, cut Ethan loose, and took statements. The fake HOA cops were placed in the back of a real cruiser, looking pale and defeated. Ethan was shaken, but safe. I assured him that those men would never lay a hand on him again in the end. Our neighborhood learned a hard truth. You can play HOA enforcer all you want. But the moment you try to play Capespoli with the district attorney's kid, you're going to lose.